and I haven't, it's MFI 19.
Yes.
On the last page, item 384, I tender document LCC.021.001.0183, email from Mr. Manoon to Mr. Ajaka, 30 October 2023.
Will be exhibit 162.
Item 385, I tender document LCC.021.001.0190, email chain between Akoto, Mr. Manoon and Mr. Ajaka, 3 October 2023.
Exhibit 163.
Item 386, I tender item LCC.021.001.0202, letter from Liverpool City Council to Mr. Manoon, dated 9 November 2023.
Exhibit 164.
And item 387, I tender document LCC.021.001.0191, email from Mr. Ajaka to Mr. Galpin, 30 October 2023.
Exhibit 165.
If there's nothing else, I call Nathan Hagarty.
Yes. Come forward, Mr. Hagarty. Do you wish to take an oath or an affirmation, Mr. Hagarty?
Affirmation.
Thank you.
I do.
Thank you.
Commissioner, I'm at the stage now. It's my appearance.
Oh, yes, of course.
Seeking leave to appear on behalf of Mr.
Yes, leave is granted for that purpose. Thank you, Ms. Galley.
Right, please state your full name,
Nathan Matthew Hagarty.
your current occupation,
I'm the state member for Leppington.
when were you elected to that position?
March 2023.
And are you a member of the Australian Labor Party?
I am.
Before becoming elected to state parliament, were you involved in Liverpool City Council?
Yes, I was elected to Liverpool City Council in 2016 and stayed on council until December 2023.
When you were elected in 2016, was that the election where Wendy Waller was elected the mayor?
It was, yes.
Which ward did you represent?
North Ward.
In the 2021 council election, Ms. Waller didn't stand as mayor. In addition to standing as a councillor, did you stand for mayor?
Yes, I was the mayoral candidate for the Labor Party.
You were unsuccessful.
I was.
Mr. Manoon became the mayor or was elected the mayor,
Yes.
but you were re-elected as a councillor again for the North Ward.
Yes.
And at least for a period from about March 2023 to December 2023, you were both a member of state parliament and a councillor.
I was.
Right. The council that was elected in 2016, we've heard evidence of, obviously, councillors who represent the Liberal Party, the Australian Labor Party, and also there are independents. And some of those independents belong to an independent party.
Yes, so there were the mayor, Wendy Waller, was Labor. There were in addition to that, there were 4 Labor councillors, 4 Liberal councillors, and 2 quote unquote independents who were both at that time members of the Liverpool Community Independence team.
And sorry, you said there was the mayor, 4 Labor councillors and then 4 Liberal councillors?
Yes. So 542.
And the 2 independent councillors, was one of those Councillor Hall?
Yes.
And who was the second one?
At Caress Roads.
Now, in the 2021 election, what were how were the various parties represented in that council?
So the same with the exception of the mayor. So you had Mr. Manoon as the mayor, a Liberal, 4 Liberal, 4 Labor, and again, councillors Hull and Rhodes from the Liverpool Community Independence team. However, Councillor Rhodes did resign from the Liverpool Community Independence team, I think several months after the election.
All right, so sometime during that time of the council.
Yes.
And so continued as an independent, but an independent not attached to the independent.
An independent proper.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, I want to turn to some topics, excuse me. First topic I want to turn to is the purchase of property by the council at 600 Cow Pasture Road. Now, jumping ahead, when the purchase of Cow Pasture Road was first raised, was it the case that it was raised because it possibly could become a depot for the council?
So it was first raised in a WhatsApp group chat by the mayor, who said words to the effect, anyone might want to buy a depot. So, yes.
All right. Going backwards, over time, have there been reports by council looking at matters concerning depots within the council?
Yes. So with the construction of Western Sydney International Airport and a new city, Bradfield, both in the local government area, and a lot of growth on the western fringe of the LGA in places like Austral, council undertook a process to effectively west of the airport near Aerotropolis for a 3rd depot.
Would you bring up, please, INQ.004.001.0010, and that can be live streamed. Now, can you see that's an operations centre master plan with a date down the bottom of 7 November 2018?
Yep, that's it.
And if we move to page 4, I'll just draw your attention to the executive summary. Following on from the completion of the Liverpool Depot Operations Strategic Plan, urban, and you can see right down the bottom of that page that you've got complete urban for Liverpool Council. So there, it would appear that there's some kind of consultants who have prepared this report.
Yep.
And then if we go back towards the top of the page, they've been engaged by Liverpool City Council to deliver an operations centre master plan for the council works depot in line with the findings and recommendations of the strategic plan. And then next paragraph, the master plan has developed a transition strategy for the Liverpool City Council's depot functions to transition from Rose Street site to the council-owned land at Devonshire Road and ultimately to an unidentified site in the vicinity of the Western Sydney Airport. And then it goes on and saying each stage of the transition has been detailed in terms of accommodation layout and functionality, and a master plan has been prepared for each of the 7 stages.
Yep.
And if you would then go to page 6. Under introduction, you can see there is a reference to undertake a master plan for the Rose Street depot, as well as that transition plan that outlines potential steps necessary for council to transition to a future depot site at Devonshire Road, Kemps Creek, and then ultimately a further transition to an unidentified site closer to the site of the future Western Sydney Airport. And underneath there's a rough map, which has got, can you see Rose Street?
Yep.
Depot with a blue star next to it.
Yep.
And then there's an arrow 5 to 10 years going over to Devonshire Depot or Western Depot. And then from it, another arrow further west, 10 to 20 years.
Yes.
And is that consistent with the evidence that you gave that this was looking at ultimately, or council was ultimately looking at some third site for a depot, but over in that western area, which had been identified either as the growing area or definitely in the future growing?
Yeah, so the when the state government announced the plan for the Aerotropolis, it had earmarked sections of land that were going to be initially rezoned, and where this star is effectively an area that was, I think it's known as the Dwyer Road precinct, which wasn't being rezoned. So the thought there was that would probably be the most opportunistic area to potentially purchase some land due to, it wouldn't be, hadn't been rezoned, therefore the value wouldn't be as high.
Now, if we could zoom in a little bit. You've got under section 1.2 background. Which towards the bottom, you can see just that paragraph with planning well underway for the Western Sydney Airport. It is also going to have a major impact on the western part of the local government area. And if we can then move to page 7. You can see the paragraph. On this basis, the provision of geographically appropriate operations centre facilities will be critical to the efficient and effective delivery of services to the community within the LGA as it grows and moves west. And then underneath that, the summary of recommendations from the strategic plan. And you can see we've got in green, Ross Street Depot be developed and consolidated as the main Liverpool depot for the next 10 years. Then in the yellow, as more development occurs in the western side, the Western Depot at Devonshire Road be developed as a new main depot that will also include road recycling material capacity. In association with the development of the Devonshire Road site, council should consider the purchase of adjoining land to the northwest and south. And subject to DA approvals, potential uses for these parcels of land include community transport compound, community services store, computer car park, park and ride, etc. And then under the purple, purchase property in what will become the industrial and employment precinct adjacent the new Western Airport on its southeastern fringe for the development of the new main Liverpool City Council. And then finally in the blue, to develop the Western Sydney Airport depot site to become the new main depot facility. And it was anticipated that that strategic plan would occur over a number of years.
Yeah, so I believe it's in this document, but there is an indicative timeline and an indicative budget as to sort of how that would be phased through over the next 10 to 20 years.
All right.
Mr. Hagarty, could I just trouble you just to raise your voice a little when you're engaging with council assisting, which is perfectly fine.
Yep.
I'm just having a little trouble.
No worries.
Thank you.
Excuse me for a minute. If we could go to page 58, please. And is this an example of how this plan sets out the various stages? And here we have master plan, layout 1, Rose Street site, and then underneath the immediate plan for the Rose Street depot is to sustain its ongoing use as council's main depot site from 2019 to 2027, when it is replaced by the View depot at Devonshire Road. And then you've got time frame for work, so about 2018 to 2020, time frame for operations 2019 to 2027, and then it sets out various work that's got to be done at Rose Street.
Yes.
And then if we jump to page 60, I won't take you to all the details, but the same thing process is then done for Devonshire Road site.
Correct.
Time frame for works 2020 to 2023, then time frame for operations 2024 to 2036.
Correct.
And then would we go to page 75, please? This section of the report sets out costings.
Correct.
And because at this stage, withdraw that. So you can see up until the end of stage 3, we're looking at costings for Rose Street and Devonshire Road.
Correct.
And then stage 4 is the Western Sydney Airport site depot layout at the completion of transition strategy number 4. Timeframe for works no later than 2032 to 35. Timeframe for operation beyond 2036. And it's about 30 million anticipated there.
Yes.
And was it your understanding that this report and this strategy was the one that the council adopted and was pursuing?
Yes.
You mentioned earlier a WhatsApp message received from Mr. Manoon. Would document INQ.004.001.0011 be brought up, please? Oh, yes, please. If we just have a look at the document, there's a reference, you can see seems to be some kind of document and then a message, anyone want to buy a depot? It has a fully equipped and licensed and complying mechanical workshop. It also has an income 25 million. That message, was that sent to you by the mayor as part of this WhatsApp group?
Yes. So it was in a group chat with all the councillors, and the mayor sort of posted that.
What's the date of this message, McDonald?
About like
Oh,
that.
sorry.
And then just down the bottom, can you see you respond with, would this replace or complement Rose Street and or Western Depot? And the answer is right down the bottom, a bit from column A and a bit from column B.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as the commissioner, has just noticed, this isn't dated. Roughly when was this?
It was early August 2022.
Can I ask you, I think you described it as a WhatsApp group.
Mm-hmm.
This WhatsApp group was the mayor and all the councillors?
Yeah.
Did you communicate frequently by this method?
We did, but never with things like this. It was normally very sort of incidental, casual things. So, who's attending, it'd usually be, who's attending the citizenship ceremony on Saturday, or, hey, I've arrived at this meeting early, anyone want a coffee? So it was all very sort of casual. For things like this, in my experience, I would have sent an email or made sure that, we were following the correct procedures in regards to sort of record keeping.
Right. You kept a copy of this? This is...
Yes.
But at that time within council, were there any, to your knowledge, requirements that such an exchange should be recorded or captured within the council records?
Yes. So if an external party had approached me about buying a depot, I would refer them to either the CEO or the appropriate director. I certainly wouldn't be posting a message in a WhatsApp group.
You just spoke about if somebody approached me. Did you have any discussion with Mr. Manoon about how this opportunity came about?
No.
I think I referred you towards the top of that document. There seems to be a reference to another document.
Mm-hmm.
Would we bring up, I'm sorry, and you can see it's, IM 600 Cowpasture Road, Len Waters Estate. Would you please bring up LCC.004 MP.006.7754. Yes, please. And you can see there it's on Collier's document, 600 car pasture road, a rare industrial opportunity, and right down the bottom, I think it's got information memorandum.
Yes.
And if we go to page 2, you can see under introduction, on behalf of our private client, Collier's has the pleasure of offering 600 car pasture road to the market for sale. The opportunity is being offered by an expression of interest campaign closing on Tuesday, the 17th of May at 3 p.m. And then it goes on to describe the premises. To your recollection, is this the document that was attached, or there was the link in the WhatsApp?
Yes, that's the document.
And you can see there that at the time of the creation of this document, it was open to expression of interest campaign, which was closing the 17th of May at 2 p.m. The WhatsApp message from Mr. Manoon, that was in August.
Yeah, and when I remember opening the document and sort of seeing that date and thinking, well, obviously expressions of interest had closed. We were, almost 3 months past that date. So,
Did you raise subsequently about the closure of the expressions of interest and why the council still appeared to have an opportunity to buy this?
I can't recall if I did, but I do believe that either myself or one of the other councillors raised it at some point during the process.
Now, at some point after receiving the WhatsApp message, at some point in August, was there some kind of view or attendance at the site at 600 Cow Pasture Road?
Yes, so about 3 days later, there was an exchange of messages in that group chat and then a diary request to do a site visit. I think it was about 3 days later. So there was a site visit.
Right. Do you recall the date of the site visit?
I think the message was about the 3rd or 4th of August, so this would have been probably the 6th or 7th
All right.
of August.
Would document OLG.001.001.1413 be brought up? Now, this is an extract from the mayor's. Oh, I'm sorry.
We're catching up.
Sorry.
That's all right.
Yes. Sorry. Just before you do, this is an extract from Mr. Manoon's diary. Right, that can be live streamed. I know it's not your diary, but can you see on Thursday the 4th, there is an entry meeting stroke site visit, Mayor Manoon, and it's got factory viewing. Is it possible it was that day of the site view?
Yeah, so that's within a few days of what I recall, and I remember it being about midday. So
Who attended that meeting or that site visit?
from memory, the mayor, myself, Councillor Hall, I think Councillor McDonald might have been there. A gentleman who introduced himself as Fab Delfonso, who was the agent, was there. Acting CEO Peter Diplis, acting director Tim Paisley, and a number Lena Kakish, who was, I don't know if she was then the director of planning, but was there from planning, and some other staff.
So you had a look around the site, and did that lead to, on the 5th of August, an email from Mr. Manoon proposing an extraordinary meeting of the council and a motion to consider it that?
Yes.
Would document LCC.002.001.2558 be brought up? And if we can go to page 5 of that document, and it can be live streamed.
Ms. Hagarty, you've been on site visits like that one at other times during your term, either of your terms on council, do you remember?
Not in relation to a purchase of a property. So we would do, we had done a tour of the Rose Street depot. Perhaps Western Sydney Airport arranged a site visit to see that, but never in relation to the purchase of a property.
In that context, then, do you remember whether opportunities to purchase properties like this had arisen in other instances during your time on council?
If they had, they wouldn't have been initiated by a WhatsApp message. So it would have potentially it would have been mentioned in a councillor briefing that, an approach had been made to purchase a land. We're undertaking an assessment. Council staff are looking at it, and if it's viable, we'll bring it to a future briefing and discuss it, in further detail with councillors with a view to bringing it to a council meeting.
And in I wanted page 5. The email down the bottom should not have been redacted. That right? Yes, just that section. That's fine. Thank you. Mr. Hagarty, the description that you just gave of the usual procedure, so if land or a property is identified, I take it one of the first considerations that you have a look at any master plans or any policies or plans adopted by the council to see if it comes within that?
Well, when you say like as an elected member initially, we wouldn't be involved in that. We would refer it to council staff and the appropriate department, and they'd make an assessment around a number of things, including whether it had strategic alignment.
All right. So just as a hypothetical example, if council were desperate for a property in Liverpool CBD to build a childcare centre, I'm just using it as a hypothetical.
Yep.
If a councillor was walking past and suddenly saw a building or a block of land for sale, they could come back and raise it?
Yeah, so if I put myself in those shoes, if I knew that council was looking for a childcare centre in the CBD and you walk past a place, I'd flick an email through council support, probably to the CEO or the appropriate director, and said, "Hey, just saw a childcare centre for lease. Is this viable?"
Mhm.
And they'd go away for a week or two or a few days and come back and say yes, no. And then from that point, potentially they would do further due diligence. There'd be a briefing, and then something would come to council. So it was a pretty involved process, and there are obviously a whole bunch of considerations that I wouldn't be privy to.
Which is kind of happening on the operational.
Correct. It's operational. My job as a councillor is to make decisions that are strategic, and at some point they would either decide that it wasn't feasible, and if it was feasible, you would assume that an item would come to a future council meeting.
Accompanied by some kind of detailed report.
Yes.
Now, if we can look at this email dated the 5th of August 2022 from the Mayor Ned Manoon to LCC councillors and a number of other people.
Yes.
And it's got confidential notice of motion extraordinary meeting 9th of August 2022. And then it sets out the following motion is confidential, and it sets out the content of the proposed resolution.
Yes.
Which includes under number 1, approve proceeding with a negotiation and due diligence process for the potential purchase of 600 Cowpasture Road or the purchase of a depot site, nominates the address and then says that should be confidential.
Yes.
Submit an expression of interest submission for the potential purchase of the depot site. And then the expression of interest has got certain parameters which are set out there.
Yes.
Including the offer is to be no greater than 25 million, noting that the site has a current offer of 24.5. And then if we can go to the next page, paragraph 3, approve expenditure associated with the due diligence of up to 50,000 to be funded from the unrestricted reserves general fund.
Yes.
Now, we're in August 2022. The budget for council was passed in June 2022.
Yes.
Was there, to your knowledge, any amounts earmarked in the budget for first any of the due diligence and B, any actual purchase of a new depot site?
Not to my knowledge.
And the reference to due diligence of up to $50,000 to be funded from unrestricted reserves and general funds, that's an indication that it's coming from, as it says, your unrestricted reserves general fund part of kind of
the budget.
council budget.
Yes. The unrestricted reserves general fund wasn't. It's the bit of the budget that would be used for, I guess, things that were not budgeted on quite often. So things that weren't foreseen, you would use that as a bit of as an area of the budget that could be used to look into things that were unforeseen. Yeah.
Now, it's foreshadowed an extraordinary meeting on the 9th of August. That meeting was held?
Yes.
Would you bring up OLG.001.001.1392, please? And it can be live streamed. Now, this is a confidential report that goes to that extraordinary meeting.
Yep.
And if we follow down that page, there it talks about at the council meeting of 23 February 2022, there was a mayoral minute in relation to a new depot, and the council resolved to immediately start the process to lodge a DA to upgrade Rose Street. In the interim, identify alternative solutions to provide a better mechanical workshop. Aim to have the construction of a new depot programmed in the 23-24 budget, if not earlier, and then fund the upgrade of Rose Street Depot from the General Reserve. And then it continues that it picks up point 3, noting that a piece of land located at Cow Pasture Road has become available for purchase and may be a suitable site for the establishment of a new depot. The offer of this land is to be no more than 25 million. And then this report seeks council endorsement to proceed with an investigation of the site as a suitable site for a new depot. And if we can go to the next page. If we go right down the bottom of financial implications, costs associated with this recommendation are not included in the budget or long-term financial plan, and then a capping of the due diligence cost at $50,000.
Yes.
And then across the page, noting that council previously resolved to build a new depot at the 23 February 2022, or build a new depot, it is anticipated any expenditure in relation to purchasing this site would potentially negate any planned expenditure on the new depot. And then if we turn to the minutes of the extraordinary meeting, and that's LCC.002.001.0303.
While that coming up, Mr. Hagarty, so at this point, having been reminded of that report, what was your understanding of the impact on what had been considered and resolved in February of the potential introduction of 600 Cow Pasture Road?
Yeah, so the resolution that was passed in February was part of a wider, I think, mayoral minute in relation to the Mayor's 100-day plan. And the assumption I made at the time that any building of a new depot would be out at the Western Depot and was in line with the strategy that we just covered.
And these are the minutes of the extraordinary meeting. I'll just note for the transcript, the document identifying number is INQ.012.001.0008.
Thank you.
And that's being live streamed. Thank you. Now, could we turn, this was the extraordinary meeting that was looking at that resolution that had been sent through.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing I want to take you to at page 2 is declarations of interest.
Mm-hmm.
And can you see Mayor Manoon declared a non-pecuniary, less than significant interest in the following item. His children attend tutoring in a nearby facility.
Mm-hmm.
So that was declared.
Yep.
But the mayor remained in the chamber.
He did.
And participated in the debate and moving the motion.
He did.
No other possible conflict of interest was raised by the mayor at this meeting?
If it had been, it would have been recorded here in the declarations of interest.
And on page 3, you can see the resolution. And then if we go to page 4, we've got, it was declared carried, and underneath that, we've got who voted in favour of it, which included you. And then voting against was Councillor Hull.
Yes. So the motion that was passed was different to the recommended one.
Can you recall how it differed?
I believe Councillor Caliander proposed an amendment that effectively, required or requested that a probity report take place in parallel with the whole process. So, given we had gotten a WhatsApp message about a week earlier, and then we'd, within the space of a couple of days, had done a site visit, and then we're having an extraordinary meeting to pursue due diligence. It's fair to say that alarm bells were ringing for me, and in discussions with the other councillors, we couldn't understand why there was a need to have an extraordinary meeting, and why we couldn't wait at least to the August meeting, if not later, the proper August meeting, if not later, to go through this process. So, to allay some of our concerns, we Councillor Caliander put forward an amendment to essentially have an independent, at arm's length, sort of probity advisor keep an eye on things and produce a probity report.
And if we can just move a little bit up. Paragraph 5, seek to appoint an independent and suitably qualified probity officer as soon as practical to assess all aspects of this process.
Correct.
So that was the amendment that Councillor Caliander sought, and that was voted in favour, or was incorporated into the motion.
Yes, there was. I recall there being quite a bit of back and forth and sort of massaging of the wording, so that we could all be comfortable about the wording there. So yeah.
And ultimately, that was agreed by everybody, other than Councillor Hull, but he might have had different reasons for voting against the motion, perhaps, rather than that particular one.
Yes.
Yeah. Was his, if you can remember, was his objection more fundamental to the purchase as a whole? Or? Yeah,
he took the view that it didn't align, with the strategy, and we didn't need it. That was, but that was my view at the time. But I also took the view that, look, I think $50,000 is a reasonable amount of money to, I guess, kick the tires, so to speak. Yeah, and come back.
Thank you.
Could we jump back to the Operations Centre Master Plan, which was document INQ.004.001.0010. And I took you to page 6, and this can be live streamed. I took you to that map with a very rough indication of where certain current depots were located, and with the arrows of where, in a sense, the designation of it being the main depot was going to kind of move from Rose Street, then to Devonshire Road, and then ultimately to this new depot out west.
Yes.
The location of Cowpasture Road, if you have a look at that diagram, roughly where is it located?
It's about halfway between the Rose Street, which is the blue star on the right, and Devonshire Street, which is the blue star in the centre. So it's just to the right of that red line. You'll see there's sort of a a line that goes from north to south. I believe that's Cow Pasture Road, so it's on Cow Pasture Road.
All right. Could we go to page 10 of that document? You can see at the beginning of that page, it says, whilst the Western Sydney Airport Depot will ultimately become the main depot for council, the existing and new satellite depots created as a result of this transition strategy will service their immediate areas.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see that, maybe if we can expand that a wee bit. No,
Other
other
way.
way. Sorry.
A little bit blurry.
Ah,
No. That's right. I think it's just the quality of, if it causes you any difficulty, Mr. Hagarty, the quality of the image, don't
No, God,
hesitate to speak up.
I know the area very well.
so you can see in the pink area Rose Street Depot,
Yes.
and immediately at the border between the pink area and the blue area is Cow Pasture Road.
Correct.
So roughly 600 Cow Pasture Road obviously is on that road.
Yeah, about if you drew a straight line between the red star and the blue star, it would be on the border of the pink area, sort of right in between there.
And then you've got obviously the blue area with Devonshire Road Depot.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the left in the yellow, you've got Western Sydney Airport Depot.
Mm-hmm.
And your understanding of where this, under this plan, where the new third depot was going to be constructed, was that in the yellow area?
Yes.
And you gave evidence earlier about that area. There was still some area that hadn't been rezoned.
Yes, I was part of the initial set of rezonings for the airport and Aerotropolis. There are a number.
All right. Do you want to ask these questions in private and then we can see whether it
Yes.
can be published? All right. Pursuant to section, no problem with those who are in the room remaining. All right. Pursuant to section 12B of the Royal Commissions Act, I direct that this part of the hearing take place in private, and I further direct that the transcript of this part of the hearing not be published otherwise than in accordance with the usual direction. And those who are in the room can remain in the room. No one's objecting.
Yes, I'm sorry. I was just identifying somebody I
Yes.
know. But
All right. I've made those directions. Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry. We're still in private. Yes, Ms. McDonald.
Mr. Hagarty, can I take you back to the map on page 10, which had the pink section, the blue section, and then the yellow section?
Yes.
The location of 600 Cow Pasture Road, given the strategy set out in this report, what is your view on whether it satisfied the proposal in the report of a location ultimately of a third depot in the western area of the local government area?
Well, that was one of my primary concerns about potentially buying this site, was that it didn't. It was on the border of the blue and pink zones. It was also on Cow Pasture Road. And one of the major constraints with the Rose Street depot was the fact that it was on the fringe of the suburb of Liverpool, and that traffic congestion was a major issue in terms of quickly deploying council vehicles to attend to their duties. So that would have also been a major constraint for Cow Pasture Road. It's heavily congested in the morning and afternoon peak. And one of the ideas about first moving to the Devonshire Road depot and then the depot out near the airport was that they'd be going against the traffic and they'd be able to, get in and out and do what they had to do without being stuck in, I guess, the daily grind.
Now, after the extraordinary meeting of the 9th of August, there was then the normal council meeting on the 31st of August 2022.
Yes.
And at that meeting, there was a motion, an urgent motion to increase the due diligence amount from 50,000 to 135,000.
Yes.
Excuse me for a minute. Would you bring up document INQ.001.001.0981 at page 61, please, and it can be live streamed. Uh, 61. So you can see there, motion of urgency, funding of consultancy costs, due diligence for potential depot site.
Yes.
And then just looking at this very quickly, it refers back to the 9th of August and the part of the resolution that spoke of due diligence up to $50,000.
Yes.
And then the next paragraph, in seeking to appoint the necessary consultants to undertake a due diligence process, it's become evident that costs will exceed the previously approved amount.
Yes.
And then in the next paragraph, given estimated costs, they're now seeking council approval to increase it to $135,000.
Yes.
And again, in the next paragraph, the additional funds to be funded from an unrestricted reserve general funds.
Yes.
And then if we go down towards the bottom of the page, we've got the motion was moved by Councillor McNaught, seconded Councillor Amoon, and you've got the motion there, and then on being put to the meeting, the motion was declared carried.
Yes.
There's no breakdown on, well, I'm sorry, I'll start again. It doesn't state that it was carried unanimously,
No.
but the minutes also don't record. So these people voted in favour, these councillors voted against. What is your recollection? Did you vote in favour of it?
I voted against it for a number of reasons. One was we were given about 2 or 3 hours notice that this urgency motion was coming to us. I thought $50,000 was a reasonable amount of money to, as I gave evidence before, to quote unquote kick the tyres. It had almost tripled with very little notice, and I had concerns about where did the $50,000 figure come from, and now why is it $135,000? So I had some serious questions about the robustness of the process to date, and I thought we had spent enough ratepayers' money on this.
Right. Do you recall, were you the only person, oh, sorry, I'll start again. Were you the only councillor who voted against it?
From memory, myself, Councillor Green, Councillor Caliander, Councillor Hall, and possibly Councillor Carneb voted against it. So with 6-5.
Your comment that you only had 2 to 3 hours notice, this was a normally scheduled council meeting.
Yes.
You received your usual agenda items with relevant reports.
Yes.
When you say that you were given 2 to 3 hours notice, who gave you the notice?
From memory, an email was sent around that this urgency motion would be put to council.
Do you remember who the email came from?
No, but I would assume it came from Councillor McNaught, given she's the one that moved this motion.
And in conjunction with the proposed, or sorry, in conjunction with the motion, was any other report or confidential report provided to you, or any information before the meeting provided to you to explain why the due diligence cost had increased so much?
Not from my recollection.
Now, when we come to September 2022, in addition to the usual council meeting towards the end of the month, was there another extraordinary meeting held on the 15th of September 2022?
Yes.
Would document INQ.001.001.0983 be brought up? If we move to page 3, this was the motion that was being debated. You can see it's got 3 paragraphs. The first one is writing to legislative agencies for an investigation into the leaking of confidential information, which is now being displayed on a mobile digital billboard that is authorised by the United Services Union. The information relates to current negotiations that Council has entered into regarding the purchase of a new depot.
Yes.
Inform Office of Local Government and the Minister. And then finally, a note that the purchase of a new depot is to improve the quality to the community, and that this breach of confidentiality has a potential negative effect on the community, as they will be most disadvantaged if a council and improved depot services is not approved. And then right down the bottom, the motion was carried and the councillors voted unanimously for this item.
Yes.
Okay.
It's all good. It's the bit of equipment. The duct tape needs replacement.
Oh. All right, we'll attend to
proceed.
that.
I note on page 2 of the minutes, under declarations of interest, you declared a non-pecuniary less than significant interest as you were a member of the United Services Union.
That's correct. Yep.
If we go back to page 3, you can see from the first paragraph there is a reference to a mobile digital billboard that was displaying something that's authorised by the United Services Union, and the information relates to current negotiations that council has entered into regarding the purchase of a new depot.
Yep.
Can you recall what occurred that gave rise to this extraordinary meeting?
So Mayor Manoon and Councillors Zamoon and Goodman felt it appropriate to have an extraordinary meeting of council at significant cost to staff and the council because the United Services Union had a truck with a digital billboard on the back that had made reference to 600 Cow Pasture Road, amongst other things.
I'm sorry?
Amongst other things, it had a whole series of things displayed on there.
And when you say made reference to 600 Cow Pasture Road, made reference to the potential purchase by council?
Yes.
And the resolution was passed?
Yes.
To your knowledge, were relevant legislative agencies contacted?
Yeah, to my understanding, either it would have been the acting CEO at the time, I think, wrote a series of letters to the minister and the OLG, I think.
To your knowledge, did an investigation occur?
I would assume so. I don't know. Yep.
You weren't interviewed for any?
No.
Excuse me for a minute. And I'll just take you to one last document before leaving this subtopic. Could INQ.046.001.0001 be brought up? Yes, please. And can you see this is an article from the Daily Telegraph?
Yes.
With the heading Liverpool Council calls for investigation into alleged leaking of info to United Services Union.
Yes.
Right. If you go to page 2, there appears to be, is it a truck with a billboard?
Yes.
Is that the particular?
Yeah, that looks like the truck in question.
But what it's depicting doesn't appear to be the reference to Cow Pasture Road.
No, it was digital, so it had a rotating bunch of images.
Messages
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah. And one of them was a reference to, I can't remember if it exactly said 600 Cow Pasture Road, but it was clear that it was a reference to what was going underway in terms of doing due diligence at that site.
Would that be an appropriate time?
Yes, we'll take a short break, Mr. Hagarty, and we'll resume at noon. So if you wouldn't mind being back just a couple of minutes before that, I'd be grateful. Feel free to stretch your legs in the meantime.
My instructions are in relation to the Devonshire Road site. That site has been remediated in respect of what used to be contamination, so that the orders that's all in the. I'm instructed that is in the public domain. The fact of that remediation.
Okay, so that covers what we heard earlier today, but does that go back to some orders I made earlier?
If possible, could we go back and find out what orders were made, whether anything that you've made orders about in the past,
yes,
ought to be revisited? We'll get onto that. But in terms of this morning, the orders that you made this morning ought to be vacated.
And the transcript can be published in the usual way?
That's right.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Emmett. I'm grateful for that indication. I vacate the orders I made earlier today in relation, pursuant to Section 12B of the Royal Commission Act, such that the transcript of what was the private part of the proceedings can be published in the usual way. Thank you, Mr. Emmett. Yes, Mr. McDonald.
Excuse me. Immediately before the break, I had taken you to an extraordinary council meeting on the 15th of September 2022.
Yes.
Now, the due diligence into the purchase of the property continued. Would document LCC.004.010.0047 be brought up? Yes, please. And can we go towards the bottom of the first page? This email is dated the 19th of October 2022. It's from a George Hamporis, and it's to a number of people. Third line down, can you see LCC councillors?
Yes.
I take it if an email was sent to that, it included you?
Yes.
And can you see that there's, it's referring to the ARIC meeting that's going to be held on the 21st of October.
Yes.
And Mr. Hamporis talks about two late papers. If we go across to page 2, you'll see there's the potential site acquisition for the proposed depot. This item can be found in the link below. In addition, to complement this item, please see attached. And I'm referring you to the second dot point, a risk and due diligence analysis undertaken.
Yes.
Would document LCC.004.010.0051 be brought up, please? Oh, I was about to say yes, but
That was the loudest stage whisper we've heard so far.
Commissioner, my request is that it not be live streamed until I have final instructions in relation to it. my client may not make an application in relation to it. It was, at the time, it was commercially sensitive. It may not be now. I need to confirm those instructions.
All right.
In the meantime, could the Commission proceed without disclosing its contents publicly?
Yes. Does that mean we need to
Are we
do?
taking Mr. Hagarty to certain entries in this?
All right. Why don't I just look? Sorry.
What,
You're going to say something?
yes. It just occurred to me that even maybe a 5-minute adjournment may suffice to get those instructions.
Look, I think I'll just go into private. I just want to keep things moving.
Okay, please.
And if we can release the transcript, we'll release the transcript. Pursuant to Section 12B of the Royal Commissions Act, I direct that the next passage of the hearing evidence be taken in private. I direct that the transcript not be published otherwise than in accordance with the usual order. And I'll just wait until thank you. Yes, we're back in public session. And yes, Ms.
You can see minutes of the ordinary meeting held on 16 November 2022. If we can go through to page 51, please. This is part of the confidential, or it's a confidential motion. Council moved to closed session.
Yes.
You can see there, we move down the page. And sorry, I should have gone back up to the subject, sorry. You can see there the subject is opportunity to purchase a site for a waste and resource recovery centre.
Yes.
So the previous descriptions in other documents of a depot, it's now changed to waste and resource recovery centre.
Yes.
And then if we move down to the resolution, you can see purchase the property. The intended use of the property is related to discharge of its domestic waste management function and degree. Then you can see $5 million is coming from the current domestic waste management reserve, approving borrowing of funds up to 32.7 million, and then an increase in the annual domestic waste management levy by an amount to fully service the loan.
Yes.
Notes that an updated long-term financial plan is to be submitted to the council on the 14th of December, and then a reference to seeking the loan from New South Wales Treasury Corporation concurrently with commercial banks.
Yes.
And then if we continue, there's further resolutions about authorities and delegations. And then in 14, keeps confidential this report. And if you keep on going, anticipated settlement will be by the end of March 2023. And then we've got on being put to the meeting, motion was carried, but underneath it's got the division.
Yes.
And you voted against it.
Yes.
Why did you vote against it?
For the reasons I've outlined earlier and what sort of came to be in this motion, that we started off as potentially spending $25 million to purchase a site for a mechanic workshop and a wash bay. Where we ended up was purchasing a site for a waste and resource recovery centre, raising rates through the domestic waste levy, borrowing more money and going further into debt, They were the main concerns for me. And then overall, just the process, the fact that this had just come from a WhatsApp message, and within the space of a few months, we were off and running, going into more debt, raising rates. And then the other major concern I had was that at no point were we allowed to inform the public of this. This was ratepayers' money, significant amount of ratepayers' money being expended on this, and at no point had we undertaken community consultation and told them what we were doing.
And there was a confidential report provided to the council. If document LCC.004.005.1703.
Whilst that comes up, what did you have in mind by community consultation in this context? That is the context of a council looking to purchase a
you could. Council has a site called Liverpool Listens, and whenever examples given before was Civic Place, when we're upgrading a park, when we were most things, when a policy went out, it was, here's something council's considering, give us your feedback. And given that it would have a significant impact on the people around that area, not to mention every ratepayer by putting their rates up, I think it was more than reasonable that it go out to community consultation and the people of Liverpool have their say on whether they thought this was a good idea or not.
How do you balance that against the commercial sensitivities of, if one went out to consultation and said council is looking at spending X on a property in the context of a commercial negotiation, one view, that might not be such a good idea. There needs to be a balance struck. Do you agree?
There needs to be a balance struck, but at no point, well, there was a reference made that I think there was an offer made for $24.5 million made for that property. But in my experience, especially when it comes to this property, it was effectively a stranded asset. So it would previously operated as a bus depot. The company that operated that bus depot lost the contract about 5 or 6 years earlier. Another depot was built about 3-4 kilometres down the road, and its only sort of seeming use was as a bus depot. And I lived around the corner from there, and I used to drive past there most days, and I'd seen a series of signs out the front saying it was for lease or potentially for sale. And it just struck me that it had a very specific purpose, and I couldn't see who would buy it and for what purpose. So you could balance it there. That I'm not sure sort of what commercial advantage we would be, I guess, ruining there by going out. And we could do it in a way that didn't disclose the site. Do you think council should raise domestic waste levy? Do you think council should buy a new depot? So.
Well, my question probably wasn't clear. Is it more general level rather than this in particular?
Specifically, that's
the sort of thing you're talking about.
Yeah.
And another way to do that would be through publication of draft strategic plans from time to time as they're updated by the council.
Yes. So, yes.
That is not the document. I'm terribly sorry. Sorry, can you keep on going down to page 7? Ah, there it is. Yes. This was the confidential report presented to council.
Yes.
And if you go down the page, you can see under the executive summary, they identify the site as a former bus depot.
Yes.
For a waste and resource recovery centre. And then you've got, it was advised that there was an offer of 24.5 had been received. Owners wanted 25 million. And then the various due diligence of the two independent valuations, and then a conditional offer of 24.75 million was made and has been accepted by the owner subject to suitable contract terms being agreed and finalised.
Yes.
And is it your understanding that that's ultimately what the property sold for?
Yes, there were two valuations and council resolved to go for the higher end of the higher valuation.
Would you go through to page 15, please? They're the details of the vendor. Oliveri Transport Services Proprietary Limited.
The owner.
Yes.
Yep.
Did you know the Oliveris or that particular family of the Oliveris?
I know of them. They operated the bus service. As I said, I lived, not far from there, and had spent a significant amount of my time catching buses run by the Oliveris.
And this Oliveri family, to your knowledge, was there a Frank Oliveri as part of the bus Oliveri family?
There is a Frank Oliveri, but I've never been able to conclusively establish whether he was related to this Oliveri family.
All right. There's at one stage within Liverpool was there, I think, a Frank Oliveri who was like the mayor.
Yes, yes. So there's quite a few Frank, and there's a few Oliveris with the same name.
Right.
Yes.
So, and that Frank Oliveri was associated with the buses?
Yes.
Sorry, the Frank Oliveri that was previously a councillor
And
and
mayor
mayor.
was associated with Oliveri Transport Services.
Yes.
Is that your understanding?
Yes.
And in addition, you've referred to another Frank Oliveri.
Yes.
And is he known through real estate?
Yeah, he was on Fairfield Council, and I think he's now in the real estate business, or he is in the real estate business.
And when he was on Fairfield Council, did he represent a particular party?
He was a member of the Liberal Party.
Do you recall when he was on Fairfield Council?
I think up until 2016, and I don't know, but throughout most of the 2000s and up until 2016.
To about 2016.
Yeah. Could have been 2012, but again, yeah, it was before my time on Liverpool Council.
And one aspect that I didn't close off in the lead up to, sorry. In May 2023, the 9th of May, the probity report was produced. You recall that Councillor Caliander's amendment to the motion was for some kind of probity officer to be appointed?
Yes.
And that led to O'Connor Marsden being appointed,
Yes.
and they produced a report in May 2023.
I don't recall the date it was produced, but yes.
Can you bring up LCC.004.01?
I rise to my feet
Yes.
before it comes up to say I'm told there a privilege claim should be made. On the same basis, we anticipate a privilege claim in relation to it. So before this horse bolts, I should rise to my feet. Even so far as this people within this room are concerned.
Could you excuse me for a minute? Please? I won't.
Can I just ask this? Could page 3 of this document not be live streamed or not be referred to? And I anticipate a claim will be made over that.
Yes.
The balance of the document, there's no difficulty with, and noting the time, it may be that we can then resolve everything. Should page 3 be necessary should any part of page 3 be necessary? Hopefully, we can address that at 2
Okay,
o'clock.
Ms. McDonald's heard that. Are you going to page 3?
No, I wasn't.
All right. So just when we're scrolling through the document, Madam Operator, we will go to the pinpoint rather than do the usual scroll through on the screen, so that Mr. Emmett's name can be not inadvertently trampled on.
Excuse me for a minute.
Yeah, that's all right.
Sorry. I think we're about to bring up the first page, which is LCC.004.014.2581. And I'll just show you the first page. You can see it's on O'Connor Marsden and Associates.
Yes.
You can see the date, the 9th of May, 2023.
Yes.
And then probity report, purchase of 600 Cowpasture Road, Len Waters Estate.
Yes.
O'Connor Marsden engaged to provide probity services. Purpose is to provide council with a retrospective probity review of the negotiations and due diligence activities associated with the purchase of 600 Cowpasture Road. Then it says this probity report covers the period from 24 August 2022, the date of OCM's engagement, to the date of this report, and is based solely on the review of records provided by council as identified in this report. In providing this report, OCM wasn't attending any meetings or provided oversight of the due diligence and negotiation activities for the proposed purchase of the site.
Yes. So from the date of the urgency motion to increase the due diligence amount.
And we've seen there's been some evidence in respect of other projects that occasionally a probity officer is brought in quite early and kind of attends meetings and is an inherent part of
Yes.
the process. Here is outlined in those paragraphs. It seems O'Connor Marsden.
We've returned to public session.
Now, Mr. Hagarty, I want to turn to a different topic, and the topic is proposals or announcements concerning Hammerville Pool, which might also be known as Moorebank Pool.
Yes.
Can you just assist me to begin with? I want to bring up an aerial shot which is contained in INQ.035.001.0001, and it's page 17. And this can be live streamed. This might not work on the screen, but we'll see how it appears. Oh no, that's INQ.035.001.0001. Apparently it's MFI 11. Yeah.
Oh, big map. Which page?
Page
Is it
17.
Mr. Hagarty.
Yes, I think I should have a spare copy.
Yeah, I'll hand.
No,
You got one?
yes. I'm sorry,
Oh, there it is.
We got it.
oh,
We've-
terrific.
You'd like a larger copy, Mr. Hagarty? As you would have seen, we have some. So do that too.
Are you okay with that?
Yes.
Now, we've had some evidence about Moorebank Sports Club and the sale of 2 lots of land to the club.
Yes.
I want to focus on something different to begin with. The question of pools within this particular area.
Mm-hmm.
At the moment, there is an aquatic centre.
Yes, just on the far left of the map in the middle there.
And if you go to the far left where you've got Holsworthy Aquatic Centre,
Yes,
that's what you're referring to.
that's the, yes.
But at the moment, if you go from the aquatic centre, you get to Heathcote Road, and then across Heathcote Road, there is that kind of sport area, open area,
Yep.
which is a combination of cricket grounds, ovals, soccer clubs, soccer fields, etc.
Yep.
And also up on Heathcote Road, or just slightly away from it, is the Moorebank Sports Club.
Yes.
Okay, that can be put down for the
What's
minute.
down the bottom right-hand corner of that image, Mr. Hagarty? Do you know what You know
Where
what?
all that construction work's taking place, or?
Yeah, I just wondered whether you knew what it was.
No, not sure what that
That's
is.
all right.
Yeah.
Excuse me for a minute. Do you recall around February 2022, a report was provided to the council written by Warren Green Consulting concerning Liverpool Aquatic and Leisure Centre provision, implementation and priority plan?
Yes.
Would document INQ.001.001.1113 at page 27 be brought up? That can be live streamed. Page 27. So that's the front page.
Yep.
And then if we can go through to page 30. Under executive summary, the first section I want to take you to has the heading existing aquatic and leisure facility provision.
Yes.
And there's a reference to the 4 major aquatic and leisure facilities. And there are 4 listed there. The first one being the Holsworthy Aquatic Centre.
Yes.
Which you've identified on the map.
Yes.
Then there's a reference underneath that to the Aquatic and Leisure Centre strategy. You see that?
Yep.
If we go down to the bottom of the page, under the dot point, Holsworthy Aquatic Centre feasibility study, you've got short-term prepare a dilapidation report and probable cost to upgrade, undertake minor accessibility works, conduct a feasibility study of alternative sites in the east,
Yes.
investigate funding options and potential development partners and include dialogue with current operators. And then you'll see longer term, prepare and design a management plan for an alternative site, negotiate with potential partners to provide a capital contribution to a redevelopment of the existing facility with potential health and fitness and or indoor sport activities.
Yes.
And if you jump across to page 31, under the heading Direction Based on Current Council Planning,
Yes.
you can see there's an identification of facilities are ageing and underutilised assets. In response to this, council has progressed development of 3 master plans for the city, being Woodwood Place, in brackets Whitlam Leisure Centre, Carnes Hill Stage 2, and Miller Social Infrastructure Master Plan, and then in brackets Michael Clark Aquatic Leisure Centre.
Yes.
And each of these master plans has been adopted by council and distributed for community consultation. And then if you jump, then in the next paragraph, they're talking about 2 contribution plans for the Austral and North Leppington area and the Metropolis precinct.
Yes.
And then if you go to page 33, under key recommendations, in respect of Holsworthy, they say it is noted that while a review is ongoing, there may be the potential for a sale of the centre, and this should be further explored.
Yes.
And then across on page 34, this is under undertake feasibility studies. You've got D, based on projected population growth in the areas of Holsworthy and Hammerville, a detailed feasibility study should also be undertaken to ensure there is appropriate aquatic and leisure provision for the community, and it's got a medium priority.
Yes.
And then if we jump to page 91, right down the bottom, again, it's dealing with Holsworthy Aquatic Centre. Projected strong population growth, demand for aquatic and leisure provision for areas of Holsworthy and Hammerville. Then council is recommended to consider a future delivery model with facilities to include a program pool, lap pool, etc. And then if you go across the page, again, while a review of options is ongoing, there may be the potential for sale of the centre, and then the revenue from a sale could be then allocated towards other community assets. And then a feasibility study is recommended to inform faculty components and community needs and demand.
Yes.
Now, from those extracts of this report that I've taken you to, oh, sorry, there was something else. What is earmarked is that you've got an aquatic centre at Holsworthy. The projection of population growth means that it may not be able to cater for the growing population. The suggestion is you look for some kind of replacement, and what it's suggesting is a feasibility study to look at what options there are for that Holsworthy area and aquatic centre.
Yes.
Now, that report was considered at the council meeting of the 27th of April, 2022.
Yes.
And if we can bring up LCC.014.002.0778. Yes. And you can see this is the Community and Culture Report.
Yep.
Aquatic and Leisure Centre provision.
Yep.
And if you turn to page 2, you've got the recommendation receives and notes the report by Warren Green Consultancy, adopts the guiding principles contained in the Warren Green report for the development of future aquatic centres and direct the acting CEO, etc., to develop an implementation plan for the aquatic centre development based on those recommendations.
Yes.
Now, and just to give some more context in respect of that, at the council meeting of the 2nd of February 2022, and if you can bring up the minutes of the ordinary meeting, LCC.005.002.1619, and that can be live streamed. Second of February 2022. How about we try INQ? Oh, yes. Oh, INQ.001.001.0953. Thank you. Can you see that's the minutes of the ordinary meeting held on 2nd of February?
Yep.
And if we go through to page 28, I think this is under the heading of the 100-day plan that the Mayor, Mr. Manoon, went to the community with.
The 100-day plan, yes.
And you can see there, start the process for a development application to be prepared for the following swimming pool projects. And B, we've got a swimming pool to replace the Holsworthy swimming.
Yes.
And in April, you've got a consideration of the Warren Green Consultancy report, which is saying in respect of Holsworthy, there should be a feasibility study, etc., undertaken.
Yes.
To your knowledge, was a feasibility study undertaken?
I can't recall.
Now, are you also aware around July 2022, the state government invited applications for grants under a scheme known as the West Invest Community Project?
Yes.
And did you know that one of the applications was for a Moorebank Aquatic Centre?
Yes, from memory. We had a couple of workshops and it may have come to a council meeting for endorsement by council of which projects we would put forward. Yeah.
But ultimately that application for a grant was rejected.
Yeah, correct.
Now, if we jump to March 2023, you've got the election for state government occurring.
Yes.
During that time, was there some announcement by Mr. Manoon about a pool either at Hammerville or Holsworthy?
Yes. So on or about the 17th of March, the Mayor made an announcement with the Liberal candidate for Holsworthy, Tina Ayat, who happens to be his wife, which included council committing $28 million towards a pool in the area, I think at Hammondville.
Could document INQ.011.001.0003 be brought up? Yes, please. Now, I think this is the Liberal Party announcement about it,
Yes, this looks like a media release from the Liberal Party.
and which refers to a 21.8 million commitment from the Perrottet Liberal government.
Yes.
And then if you go to, if we can bring up INQ.011.001.001.0005. This is from the Sydney Morning Herald. You can see the headline, Liberal Party couple promised to build a new pool.
Yes.
And questions started. And you can see there that if we can move it a bit, Liberal Mayor has backed it, who had backed his wife's bid to become a party candidate in southwest Sydney, has promised his council and the coalition would jointly fund a $50 million sports facility, despite the commitment not being put to councillors. And then you can see in the next paragraph, Liverpool Mayor Ned Manoon joined his wife and Liberal candidate for Holsworthy, Tina Ayat, last year to commit $28 million in council funds for a state-of-the-art precinct if the coalition is returned to government next Saturday.
Yes.
Now, what I want to focus on is the promise of a commitment of $28 million of funds in council funds to build this pool. Did you know about this proposal before it was made on, I think, the 17th of March and then appeared in the Sydney Morning Herald on the 18th?
No.
The various, I've taken you to the Green Consulting report, which identified the need for an upgrade to the old Holsworthy pool and then eventually some kind of replacement. But the suggestion for a feasibility study and for it to be further looked at, to your knowledge, had that groundwork of a feasibility study been undertaken by the 18th of March?
Not to my knowledge, no.
To your knowledge, had any other councillors been informed before the 17th of March of this proposal to commit $28 million in council funds?
No, and I think there's a reference in this article where the journalist puts the question to Liberal Councillor Mazhar Hadid, who knew nothing about it.
If you go to page 2, you can see the entry that Manoon's funding pledge has been called into question by fellow Liverpool councillors who say no such figure has been discussed or assessed by council, and a reference to the Deputy Mayor, Liberal Deputy Mayor, Mazhar Hadid. You said the first I'm hearing of it.
Yes.
And the 28 million, does that mean in the current budget that the council was operating under, there was no provision or no reference to that?
No. So at no point had the council resolved to allocate any money for the construction of a pool at Hammondville Council, let alone $28 million.
And by March 18, the council laws are going under or proceeding. I'm sorry, I'll start that question again. By mid-March 2023, work is being done on the budget for the next year.
Yeah. Yes, work would have been starting on the budget. Yep, by that time.
And at times there's briefings, consultation with the councillors.
Yeah, at the very least, there's a quarterly budget review, so every 3 months.
And at any point up until March the 18th, had anything been raised about identification of funding and where the funding would come from, or 28 million to contribute to a pool at Holsworthy?
Well, I'll refer to my previous answer that there was no resolution of council committing $28 million to a pool at Holsworthy or Hammondville.
I just want to ask you some questions on a different topic, which is broadly appointment and then termination of CEOs.
Yep.
And what I'm wish to focus on is really procedures that are adopted when that issue arises within council.
Yes.
Now, when you were a councillor from 2016, one of the CEOs of council at that time was Eddie Jackson.
Yes.
And Eddie Jackson remained as the CEO for the election in 2021 and up until, I think, the first council meeting in February 2022.
Yes.
Before the inquiry, there are documents which are Dr. Jackson's, performance review for 2021.
Yes.
You sat on the review committee.
I did.
And I can take you to them if you wish, but basically Dr. Jackson received an average rating of over 3 performance review sections of 8.3 out of 10.
Yeah, I remember it was a pretty good performance review.
There was a report noting positive feedback about him and acknowledgement that the organisation was responding well under his leadership.
Yes.
And the council recommended a performance-based increase to his package of about 2%.
Yes.
And your experience with Dr. Jackson during that period he was CEO, what was your view of him?
Well, as part of the performance review, I thought he was doing very well. Staff were responding well. Eddie had very good strategic brain, and in both his application for the role and at the performance reviews, he had set out very clear, strategic pillars and things he wanted to achieve, and that's what we were assessing him on, and he was making significant progress in that regard.
Now, can I take you to the council meeting of February 2022? Just excuse me a minute. Excuse me for a minute. Could document INQ.001.001.0953 be brought up? These are the minutes of the ordinary meeting held on 2 February 2022.
Yep.
And if you go through to page 55, can you see there's a mayoral minute?
Yes.
Where there's an acknowledgement of the contributions and capabilities of the CEO, and then notes the current CEO's contract will expire on 30 November 2025, and then terminate the CEO's contract from 11 February 2022.
Yes.
And then direct the mayor to enter into direct negotiation with the CEO to formally agree on a deed of settlement amount.
Yes.
Now, you can see from the top of that page, that is a mayoral minute.
Yes.
And there is evidence before the inquiry of a mayoral minute doesn't have to, it's not like a notice of motion being included in the agenda. It is a resolution that can be introduced in a sense on the floor of the council.
Yes.
Did you have any notification that this motion concerning the termination of Dr. Jackson's contract was going to arise?
There had been rumours of it, and from my recollection, I might have had a phone call discussion with the mayor at the time about whether we, he was, I guess, sounding out whether I'd be in favour of terminating Eddie. So there'd been a lot of discussion in the lead up to it, but formal notice via this mayoral minute was, pretty late in the piece, just prior to the meeting.
Did you move into a closed session?
Yes.
Can you recall, withdraw that. From the resolution or the decision, it would appear that Dr. Jackson's contract is being terminated without cause.
That would be from what's put forward there, yes.
Which is permissible under the contract, but it brings with it a payment of about 38 weeks.
Yes.
When you moved into closed session, can you recall, was there any discussion as to why the mayor was moving to terminate his contract?
Look, I think the only justification that was really given was around, that there was potentially perhaps there was a comment around it's important that, you know, the mayor and the CEO have a good relationship, and the mayor was elected with a mandate, but there wasn't anything performance related that I remember.
All right. And if we go to the bottom of the page, I've not
It's a
gone
beautiful
through this
building,
feeling.
Mr. Hagarty, but it does have its quirks.
Possible too.
You can see it was not, the motion was not a unanimous
No.
resolution.
No, I think you can see there that the Labor councillors and Councillor Hull voted against it, and the Liberal councillors and Councillor Rhodes voted for it. I note that Councillor Rhodes was on the performance panel that gave the CEO a glowing review just a couple of months earlier.
Okay. And for the period when Dr. Jackson was the CEO, that was a period where Mr. Manoon wasn't on council.
Correct.
And even some of the councillors who voted in favour of the resolution, they were new councillors in that they weren't councillors during the previous period when Dr. Jackson was CEO.
Correct. Councillors Moon, Goodman and McNaught had never worked with Dr. Jackson, and Mayor Manoon had only worked with Dr. Jackson in his capacity as, I think, a manager and potentially a director in the previous term when he was on council.
I know it was some time ago, but do you recall whether there was any discussion in that meeting about Dr. Jackson's performance in the role, or was it more around the working dynamic or relationship between the mayor and the CEO / general manager?
Yeah, look, as you said, it was a while ago, but from memory, it was more around the dynamic. And look, I think there might have been some, in my opinion, flimsy sort of reasons around performance, and perhaps he wasn't, in the mind of some of the councillors making an argument for that. Some of his, some of the areas that the mayor wanted to concentrate on, that perhaps Eddie wasn't particularly strong in those areas, which at the time I didn't buy.
And don't take this as a criticism because it's not, but just the way you expressed yourself there, do I understand that your recollection isn't particularly detailed of those conversations?
No, it was well, again, it was, what are we talking?
Some time ago.
3 years, nearly 4 years ago. And it was, to be fair, it was a pretty stressful thing to come into the first council meeting of a term and have to sack a CEO that I thought was doing a good job, and by all reflections on his performance, was doing a good job. Yeah.
I then move to the next CEO. Excuse me for a minute. Drawing your attention to December 2022, it was at a December council meeting. I think it was an extraordinary council meeting at which John Ajaka was appointed CEO.
I remember it was December. I can't remember whether it was an extraordinary meeting or not, but if that's, yeah.
In the lead up to that appointment, were you on any of the selection panel or selection group who were looking at the applications and forming a short list and things like that?
No. 'Cause, 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 'cause,
Now, would you bring up OLG .001.001.1643, please? Sorry, we're just very hot.
Oh, sorry. I think that was done at my request to prevent the noise coming in from the corridor.
I knew good.
No,
Maybe if we go down to the bottom email, dated the 5th of December, you can see the extraordinary council meeting Tuesday, the 6th of December, and then a notification of an extraordinary council meeting on the 6th, commencing at 2:30, where the item to be considered is appointment of acting chief executive officer and then selection of chief executive officer.
Yes.
And then your response is towards the top, where you've got, you send an email back to a number of people, including all councillors, saying we've been without a CEO now for 10 months and we're now being asked to select a CEO within 24 hours notice, if that. One of the most important functions the council undertakes. We are less than a day out from the meeting. I do not consider this ample opportunity to make a considered and measured decision on who will lead an organisation, looks after 220,000 people, etc. When we will receive details about the candidates. This is highly irregular, poor practice and more reminiscent of a dating show rather than a responsible governing body. So by the 5th, that is the day before, you've received notification first thing in the morning, but you still haven't got details about any of the candidates.
No, all we received was that email. And I think there was a proper regular council meeting coming up the Wednesday after. So again, as we saw with the process for 600 Cow Pasture Road, we get these seemingly unnecessary extraordinary council meetings where we're being asked to make really important decisions with an unnecessarily short time frame.
And then if you would bring up OLG.001.0238.
We've returned to public. Thank you.
Mr. Hagarty, just a couple of final questions and topics. You gave evidence about the use of the mayoral minute when Dr. Jackson employment was terminated. While you were a councillor, were there times or where your view was that mayoral minutes were being used in an inappropriate fashion?
Yes, almost every month.
And can I just pause? There's evidence before the inquiry about mayoral minutes, and I think it's in the Code of Conduct, Code of Meeting procedure, that basically they should be limited, and I'm just summarising, to ceremonial, congratulatory, not complex, and definitely not if it involves funding or expenditure of money.
That's right.
So given those and very general parameters, what was your concern about mayoral minutes?
My concern was that there'd be almost without fail every month there'd be a series of mayoral minutes. Some would be ceremonial in nature. There might be a condolence motion for a prominent member of the community, but there would also be numerous mayoral minutes that dealt with complex matters that required an allocation of budget, and we would be given, if we were lucky, 1 or 2 hours notice. Quite often we would come in and at the beginning of the meeting, there'd be copies of them on our desk. Quite often we wouldn't even get that, and they'd just be dropped on us in open council. So we were expected to make well-informed decisions with very little notice about complex matters that could potentially have a significant impact on the budget.
And reform of mayoral minutes, can you make any suggestion?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
You have that concern about mayoral minutes.
Yes.
Can you make any suggestions about possible reform to mayoral minutes?
Yes. My understanding, and in speaking to other councils, where appropriate, mayors almost always keep it to ceremonial sort of non-complex matters, and they try and distribute them to all councillors, 2 ordinary days before. So I think, 1 or 2 ordinary days before, if mayoral minutes were sent around to councillors, I think that'd be appropriate. Yeah.
While you were a councillor, do you have any observations about the actual conduct of council meetings, whether they were appropriately run?
Yeah. Well, I would. Yes. There's post December 2021 and there's pre-December 2021. So from 2016 to 2021, when Mayor Waller was the mayor, she was an exceptional chair, kept control of the meetings, adhered to the code of meeting practice, and ensured things didn't get out of hand. Post 2021, we saw, debates go on for too long. We saw people, and I'm probably guilty of this, but questions across the chamber rather than through the chair. Abuse of mayoral minutes, abuse of presentation to councillors, the moving around of the agenda, and again, council meetings going way into the night. And I think there was staff even raised concerns around workplace health and safety, given how late into the night we were going at sometimes.
Code of conduct complaints.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any observations about their use while you were a councillor?
While I was on council, I think though for the most part, when I was on council during that first term, we had an internal ombudsman, and I think they acted as an appropriate person that sort of we've dealt with those in the initial instance, and meant that in a lot of cases they could be resolved then and there rather than engaging an external investigator. I know that sort of post me being on council, there's been quite a few code of conducts, but generally there weren't too many. There were a couple of code of conducts on me, and I'd put a couple of code of conducts on, but they were of a reasonable, what I deem to be a reasonable amount and for reasonable circumstances. And more often than not, they were solved sort of with a chat to both parties and maybe a verbal or written apology. And
those examples you've just given, that was facilitated by the internal ombudsman?
In the first instance, or by the CEO.
And a topic of councillors or mayors receiving independent professional advice?
Yeah,
What do you mean by?
this is an interest. So in the dying stages of the 2016 to 2021 term, Councillor Ayad put up a motion about councillors, or effectively council reimbursing councillors for their own independent legal advice. And then I believe that was voted down. And then in the term after that, when Mayor Manoon was the mayor, he put up an almost identical motion along the same lines. My understanding was I think that was passed. And then myself, Councillor Green and Councillor Caliander may have put in a rescission motion to that effect. But my understanding was that what would happen, for any matter that came before council, a council, what was being proposed was a council could potentially get their lawyer to give them advice on all those. So it didn't seem appropriate. And we always had access to legal counsel. And no offence to anyone in the room, but if all councillors had access to legal advice and lawyers, I'd struggle to see how that would result in better decision making.
I'm sorry,
You're not objecting to that bit.
the rescission motion that you and the other councillors put forward, was that carried?
I don't think it was. I can't recall. I don't think it was.
Yes, excuse me.
Thank you.
There's no further questions.
Councillor, could you remind me, when was your first term?
2016 to 2021.
All right. And turning your mind back as best you can, do you remember the type of training that you received as a new councillor?
Yes. So council provided us with a very big, maybe one or two very big folders with a bunch of, documents and policies. There was a bunch of sessions on, getting your head around council and particular directorates and Liverpool in general. And the Office of Local Government provided training. I think it was called Hit the Ground Running. So a series of online training sessions, which were voluntary, and then councillors have got effectively a skills and education budget. So in my first term, I did a couple of courses through Local Government New South Wales. One was just a sort of 1 day training. Another one was like in consultation with the Australian Institute of Company Directors. It was basically a modified version of their 3 day course that was sort of tweaked to, sort of be more appropriate for councils. So I undertook that training.
That was one that you selected yourself through the use of the budget available.
Yes.
For that?
Yes.
Just focusing on the training delivered or given to you by the council and the OLG, did that go into the nature of your role as an elected councillor?
Yeah, that was made very, very clear. Your role under the Act and your role under the Act, probably the primary documents that you'd want to get your head across were the Code of Conduct, the Code of Meeting Practice, and from memory, I can't remember if we did it in 2016, but certainly in 2021 term, there was externals that came in and spoke to us about the role of the OLG and potentially even the role of ICAC and your obligations under that. So yes. And
you did it again in 2021?
Yes.
What about throughout your terms, the 2016 and the 2021 term, was any other than training that you identified yourself through the budget that you've mentioned, was there any ongoing training delivered to you?
I know Local Government New South Wales in about 2018 or 2019 launched a sort of skills assessment program where I can't remember exactly how it worked, but you'd, sort of go on, do a questionnaire, and it would tell you sort of, where perhaps you could concentrate on, how confident you felt in a certain area and how to upskill on that. And local government New South Wales were always sending through dates as to when they were running certain courses. So it was always out there, and it was always made clear to us that we had an annual sort of training budget. And I, as best I could, have sort of availed myself of that budget, not just to do courses, but also to get books. I remember getting some textbooks on planning and urban design. So that was available as well.
Dealing with the first type of training, that is when at the commencement of the new term, did you feel as though that gave you a solid understanding of your role as a councillor and all of the things you needed to, as it says, hit the ground running?
As best it could. Like you get, there are so many policies and procedures that you do get overwhelmed. We were lucky in that Mayor Waller had at that point had been a very experienced councillor, as had some of the others who weren't even from the Labor Party. Peter Haar, Mazza did. They sort of acted in a mentor
from your colleagues.
Yeah, they acted in a mentor capacity to sort of check in and say, it's overwhelming, isn't it? How's it all going? These are, in my experience, concentrate on these policies first, then get yourself across these ones. So, yeah.
And do you think there could be any improvements to that process, for particularly thinking back to your first term, that could have helped you find your feet?
Look, I think I found my feet pretty quickly. It became apparent to me that in that first council meeting that I was probably going to be the one leading the charge, so to speak, from my side of things. So within a very short time, it was sort of sink or swim. But I think the problem with training is that when training is offered, it's usually the people, the people who take up the training are usually the people who are diligent and enthusiastic, and the ones that probably need it aren't so. So it's always a bit of a challenge. But look, I think mandatory training, it's obviously a very, very important role, and something akin to sort of continuous professional development, and that thing might be in order. And I think that's what the local government New South Wales was trying to roll out when I spoke about that skills assessment, that they were sort of moving to a again, it was unenforceable, but a way that each and every year that there was sort of a benchmarking, that you were doing a certain amount of hours of professional development and courses, and
By continuing professional development, do you have in mind a set of core skills that and understandings that each councillor should have? Code of conduct, code of meeting practice, statutory obligations.
Yes.
That sort of thing.
Yep. And, planning is a good example of where, there's been significant reforms in planning since I was first elected to council. So that would be one of the areas where, we would certainly be getting briefings on any changes to planning law. So when there were significant reforms, council staff would come in and give us briefings, and potentially even the agencies themselves would give us an update on what was changing and why, and what that would mean as a councillor.
And code of meeting practice, it's not a straightforward document, if I can put it neutrally. Do you think there could be more improvements as to training and support for councillors in the conduct of meetings, whether from the chair or as a participant? Yeah,
that was always one that I think in both 2016 and 2021 we did some role plays around moving a motion and then amending an emotion and foreshadowing an emotion and amendment, and there were some very complex flow charts trying to explain that.
Who's speaking for, who's speaking against, and the like?
Yes.
Do you think that there could be any improvements to that document, that is the code of meeting practice, to enhance and improve council meetings?
I know that the previous government put out a model code of practice, and I think putting out model policies is a great step forward. But certainly yes, in terms of having a model code of practice and a code and what I experienced at Liverpool Council, there's still plenty of grey area to use that for political advantage. Maybe I'll put it that way.
During your time on council, you would have been involved in the strategic planning processes.
Yes.
Could you just describe them to me from the point of view of a councillor?
Yeah. This one's a big, I think, a big issue in that you come onto council, you're being bombarded with all these things you need to learn. And one of the things you've got to work on is the community strategic plan, which is the direction of council over the next 10 years. And you've got to do that within a certain time frame of being elected. And one thing you discover is that sort of when you get to the end of the process, you realise, that's your sort of, that's your guiding light. That's the, where council's driving to. And I don't know how you resolve this, but, as I said, you come on, you're learning, you're being bombarded with all this information, and you want to come in and make an impact, and you want to affect change in all these areas. And I don't know if it's made entirely clear that this is the primary process through which you would do that. And so, you do workshops and you get a map out and you put sticky notes down and all that. But, I think it could be made clearer to councillors around how important the community strategic plan is, and how important having a background or having some understanding of strategic planning is. I was lucky enough in that in my professional space, I was working in a strategy space, and so I understood it. But again, if you hadn't worked in strategy and you were elected to council without much knowledge, that would put you at a pretty significant disadvantage.
Councillors are drawn from all walks of life and, of course,
Yes.
have their own jobs and family commitments to go on with apart from their role as a councillor. How could councillors be better supported to deal with that challenge, if I can put it that way? Is there anything that you didn't have that would have helped you in your role?
The amount of remuneration that are not adequate to do the job to the best of your ability. So you can do as little as you want and turn up to one council meeting a month and not read your books and flub your way through it, or you could go the other end, which was closer to where I was, where you were trying to attend as many meetings as possible, get across the detail, doing professional development on the side, going to community meetings, engaging in related sort of industry networks. But, at about $30,000 a year, minus super, minus tax, given all the expenses that incurs, it's got to be a labour of love.
Anything else from support, training, staff support at council?
Look, I think staff support was quite good. We were made well aware that there was a councillor support team, and during my entire time there, the councillor support team were excellent. The executive assistants to the mayor and the directors were excellent. The CEO was excellent. Some of the CEOs were excellent in terms of ensuring that you were being given opportunities and developing as a councillor. I do think in terms of broader reform, we might need to have a look at the model that they have in Queensland, where councillors are effectively given bigger councils and a professional sort of salary to do that full time. I know that works relatively well in Brisbane and the southeast. However, there are sort of issues further north where you got these tiny councils with a few thousand people and people being paid a full time salary. So pros and cons to both models. But and then what we touched on earlier around do you mandate sort of continuous professional development? Yeah.
Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Hay?
Might
Yes.
just take you, if we could have up on the screen, please, document 004014258.
Do you have the letter prefix?
Oh, LCC,
Thank
beg
you.
your pardon.
This is, yeah. Yes, you can.
Don't go to page 3.
Yeah.
Could I ask the operator, without live streaming it, to turn to page 3, and could we see if there's a redaction on page 3?
Okay. There is not.
No.
Well,
Do you have questions about that?
I don't.
Could we move then to whatever page Ms. Gallagher needs without going to page 3?
We can do that.
Just page 1.
All right.
I don't think I'll go beyond that. I hope not to. So just as page 1, this probity report, see there, it covers from the 24th of August. And it's in relation, of course, to 600 Cow Pasture Road.
Yes.
Beg your pardon. Now, of course, the 9th of August 2022 was when Ms. Calianda had moved the motion that there be a probity report or be due diligence in relation to 600 Cow Pasture Road.
Mm-hmm.
And this does touch upon that in the paragraph commencing the objective of our role is to assist council.
Mm-hmm.
You see the last portion of the paragraph there is including alignment with the process resolved by council in the meeting of the 9th of August, which is the meeting I reference in relation to Ms. Calianda's motion. So the WhatsApp message we know was at the very beginning of August,
Yes.
the WhatsApp message from the mayor. It would appear from this document, well, I'll go back a step. This document dated the 9th of May 2023.
Yes.
Contracts were exchanged on 600 Cow Pasture Road about on the 12th of May, it seems, or thereabouts, 2023. So it was on the eve of the exchange of contracts that this probity report was completed. Do you agree?
Yes.
And the period the report indicates in the paragraph commencing this probity report covers the period from the 24th of August, that it covers the period from the 24th of August 2022.
Yes.
You have concerns, is this correct, about the period you have concerns about the period before then? That is this from the 2nd of August 2022 until, I guess, the date of the 24th of August when the report kicks in, so to speak?
Yes. So in that urgency meeting, which was, I think, on or about the 9th of August, Councillor Calianda raised an amendment to put, to have ensure that there was a sort of independent sort of probity officer overseeing this, and it was my understanding that the intention of that was to cover the period leading up until that meeting and the entire period throughout. The question, still hasn't been answered to me is, Mayor puts a message in a WhatsApp group, but prior to that, what happened? Was he approached by the owners of the site? Was he approached by the real estate agent?
Mr. D'Alfonso,
Fab D'Alfonso? If so, did that constitute a unsolicited proposal? So that was my understanding with Councillor Caliander's intention here, and that throughout the process, the probity officer would be there. Whereas, given the way this is worded, it almost appears as if just prior to the exchange of the contracts, a bunch of documents are given to a probity officer to have a look at and approve. It was almost sort of my perception is that it was almost a ticker box exercise, right? At sort of 5 minutes to midnight before the contract sale was happening. That wasn't my understanding of that wasn't the amendment that Ms. Caliander made.
On the after you received the WhatsApp message, there was the site inspection.
So Fab D'Alfonso that was the vendor's agent, the mayor, I believe councillors Harlan McNaught, could have been other councillors there, I don't recall, and some members of so the acting CEO, the acting director, and potentially the director or acting director of planning.
Did you make any observations of who the mayor greeted as on the 4th of August 2022, if anybody? Yeah,
so when I arrived, everyone was sort of, everyone hadn't yet arrived, and the mayor and Mr. D'Alfonso were there, and it was and progressively other councillors and members of staff arrived prior to taking the site tour. And it was apparent to me that Mr. D'Alfonso and Mayor Manoon were well acquainted. They knew each other. Yeah.
Can you give some more evidence to the commission, commissioner as to what had you think that? What happened?
Yeah,
what did you observe?
Their general demeanour. It was apparent that they knew each other, and the sort of tone and topic of the conversation they were having. I think they were talking about mutual acquaintances and that kind of thing. So I gave earlier evidence about alarm bells going off, and for me that was another alarm bell.
Thank you. Nothing further.
No examination.
Secondly, one thing I neglected to earlier when I was through some questions about training was, did you receive some training about the division between the role of a councillor and the operational arm of the council?
Yes.
What was your understanding of that division, if I can put it that way, at the time you were a councillor?
Yeah, that was made. It was made abundantly clear what the role of council was, what the role of council staff was, and the process by which you would raise requests or seek to get things done effectively. It's described like an hourglass. So you got the elected body, and then there's almost a one-to-one relationship between the elected body and the CEO, and then you got the rest of the hourglass down the bottom there.
There's an hourglass diagram in the councillor handbook you might be calling into mind, I think.
Well, yes.
Do you think, was there anything that you think could be done to assist councillors get a better understanding of that division, particularly where the point of the hourglass is that is where those roles come close to intersecting? Sometimes people suggest it becomes a little bit grey at the margins. Would you agree with that?
It can, but I think ultimately that comes down to the CEO and the culture of the organisation. If you have a CEO and a culture in an organisation that at the first suggestion that someone may be getting close to breaching the hourglass or crossing the hourglass, that it's made very, very clear, and that the consequences are pretty severe if you continue to do it, then I think that would keep things in check. also restricting access to councillors to where they should be. In my first term, I think councillors only had access to the ground floor and level 6, which was where, ground floor was meeting rooms and level 6 was the mayor, councillors and CEO's office. My understanding is that very shortly after the 2021 election that this boundary became apparent to me later on that councillors were given access to all floors. Now, I think that
Staff areas, you mean?
Staff areas, and that again, you don't. Why create potential issues or perception of issues when you don't need to? Just physically restrict yourself from accidentally walking into a staff area and accidentally walking into a meeting. Don't create booby traps and pitfalls for yourself. Just physically restrict yourself from doing that.
So you've pointed to some things that could be done at the organisational level through the general manager and the like. Is there anything that could be done through training or statements in the Act or anything like that to assist councillors to, from day one, get a clear grasp of where their role ends and the operational side starts?
In my experience, I think that was made abundantly clear in the training and the briefings we got. But whether consciously or unconsciously, mayors and councillors decided to not abide by that.
Thank you, Mr. Hagarty, for your attendance and your assistance today. All witnesses, I've asked not to release any witnesses in case there is a need to come back to you. If that happens, that'll be communicated to you, and as soon as you can be released from your summons, that will be communicated to you and those who represent you. But I'm most grateful for your attendance and your assistance across the day and your forbearance during the occasional delay as we work through some procedural issues. But you're free to go for this afternoon. Thank you. Is there anything else to do this afternoon? No? 10 o'clock tomorrow?
There was just one matter I was going to raise. There is a swearing in tomorrow morning.
Yes. What
time
is that? Is it 9:15?
It's 9:15. I will be attending that because the judge at the bar table are very close.
Yeah, I think there'd be a number of people in the room, including myself, who wouldn't mind going to that. If we started at 10:30, would that give us enough time to finish what's on the program tomorrow?
We're starting Mr. Breton.
Oh, I see.
He's set down for a number of days, so I think a 10:30 start won't pose any difficulty.
If you need to change some sitting times, we can do that during the day. Is that convenient to everybody if we start at 10:30?
Yes, thank you for that.
And someone might let Mr. Tynan know that he's not needed until then.
We'll let Mr. Tynan know.
Thank you. 10:30 tomorrow. Thank you, everybody.